It's good, YouTube, man. Today, I'm back with another banger reaction video. I'm reacting to 4 most disturbing early internet rabbit holes. Woohoo! I actually have no clue I don't know any. So, this is going to be like new to me. If you guys know any before I start this video, let me know in the comments down below so I can go into a little rabbit hole when I read the comments, you feel me? Before I start this shit though, these guys roll up, grab some food, some popcorn, and let's get started.
If you guys got a bomb packed, little fucking glurb ready, the cart ready, let's tap up on 3.
1, 2, 3.
Let's start the video, boys.
SeeMeRot.com.
What?
In February of 2004, a user on a now outdated message board asked other members about a strangely morbid site they recently came across.
What?
The post read, SeeMeRot.com. Is this coffin webcam real? I recently visited www.seemerot.com, which is a live webcam inside a coffin that is taping a woman in her 40s who passed away from natural causes. Something isn't right here.
What are you looking at?
They claim it's
Like
real, but there is
bones?
very loose wording under the disclaimer. Someone please help clear this up. Is it a hoax? There seems like there are too many loose ends here.
This is insane.
There has to be more to the story than this.
This is the first one.
Visiting
video,
this
bro?
site today leads to an Australian fashion and lifestyle blog that has nothing to do with what this post was talking about.
Might give you a
Fortunately,
virus.
this domain has been extensively archived by the Wayback Machine over the years, allowing us to go back in time and see how it used to look in August of 2003.
So everyone was
and
looking at that
sure
shit.
enough, it was just as bizarre as the OP mentioned in
What
their
the
post.
fuck is that?
Its logo was the site's name over a picture of a coffin.
Being
with an
dead and buried doesn't mean you can't have friends. What is that supposed to mean?
ominous caption
See
tagline
me
reading,
rot.
"Being dead and buried doesn't mean you can't have friends."
I didn't even like
over."
put that together,
Below
bro.
this was a supposed live view from within a coffin, featuring 2 cameras pointed at the deceased face and feet.
What the fuck?
Live streaming video over the
the
internet
fuck?
wasn't really a thing back
How
then,
do you even get a
so these were
camera
more
in there?
akin to images that were updated periodically. These images were too low res and hard to decipher,
Yeah, bro, what
even
am I
for
even looking at?
2003 standards,
Yeah,
hinting
what
that
the
this
fuck?
whole thing might have been nothing more than a
How,
hoax.
how can you even tell that's a fucking person, bro? How can you even tell that's in a coffin? What am I looking at? I'm looking at static. What the fuck? Am I colorblind? I'm just seeing static.
But less than a month later, the site's owner replaced them with a much clearer picture
Oh,
of the
fuck.
person in the coffin.
Holy fuck, that's
It
not
showed
static.
what was supposed to
That's
be the
not
final
static.
resting place of a young woman in a light blue button-up shirt.
That don't
This
look
new
like a
feed
girl.
also refreshed every 10 seconds with an updated
Oh, no.
picture.
Where's the
However,
hair?
the most disturbing part of this
It's a
website
fat-ass
wasn't the
forehead, bro.
coffin
This guy's
stream,
scary,
but the
bro.
description beside it. It opened with the site's owner providing a detailed play-by-play of what exactly they did to get this live preview, stating, "Welcome to SeeMeRot.com. This site is dedicated to all who have gone before us.
What?
2 months ago, we attached the world's first live coffin cams to the interior of our subject.
Oh my god!
This was done after friends and family had seen the deceased for the last time. We
Do
then
they know
traveled
that
over
there's cameras in
2,000
there?
miles with the casket to the family's chosen burial place, undisclosed to protect gravesite. Having arrived at the graveyard, a small ceremony was held, after which the final preparations were made to our transmitting hardware and lighting units. All went according to
kinda
plan
weird
at first, and the
fucking
casket was
cult
lowered
shit
just
is
after
this?
lunchtime, April 15th, 2003. Cam tests were carried out at the site, and the grave was sealed. We then set off back to our office in the heart of Seattle.
Yeah, stay away from Seattle, boys. What the fuck's going on in Seattle, bro?
What I think about is like all our journeys we've come so far to get.
Bro, where is Seattle? Bro, that's far as fuck from me, bro. I'm straight. Bro, isn't Seattle like in the edge? Isn't that near Oregon? Is Seattle a state? Wait, bro, I need to look this up. I don't know if Seattle's a state or not. No, isn't Seattle in Washington? Or is Washington in Seattle? I don't know.
This description ended with the site's owner urging readers to contact them
dude,
if they wanted a coffin cam for their loved ones as well. So the whole purpose of this site appeared to be an advertisement for their disturbing service, which left visitors with more questions
Is this
than
like
answers.
early AI?
Like,
What is
who in
this?
their right mind would want to see the decay of their friends and family after their passing?
I don't know.
But while people were figuring that
That's
out,
not a girl outfit, bro. Why do you put? I don't know though, because where do you really dress someone in a coffin, bro? I never seen that. And I don't really want to imagine it. But in the movies, bro, are they dressed? I never really. Bro, wait. Now I think about it, you've never seen a girl in a coffin in the movies, bro. It's always been a guy. Oh my god. Name one movie. Name one movie. I know I can't.
SeeMeRot.com became a phenomenon on the early internet, with people talking about it on forums, prompting even more flock to the site out of sheer curiosity. It even got picked up by mainstream media like the QI, or Quite Interesting show from the UK.
What's the QI?
The biggest question most visitors had, however, was whether it was actually legit. Were these images really from the inside of a coffin?
This is creepy, bro.
Well, as it turned out, SeeMeRot.com was nothing more than a hoax.
Oh, thank
Some
God,
savvy
dude.
users quickly figured out that the live preview wasn't live at all. Instead, it was the looping GIF of a still image that went in and out of focus to emulate a live digital camera from that era.
Nice.
This also explains why the supposed
that
body
true,
didn't
though?
change one bit in the 10 years the site was up.
Oh, that's
But
true.
this begs the question, why? Why would someone go through the effort of setting up a whole website centered around this false premise? The creator even went as far as to add a legal section with disclaimers about how this was all being done with consent, all in an effort to make it seem more legit.
He's a great liar.
One of the first explanations that comes to mind is that this was an art project of sorts.
No.
Though, a closer look at this site
kind of
suggests that its
fucking
creation was
weirdo
driven
does
more by
that?
profit than by artistic intent. You see, this site has had advertisements on its homepage, often for adult content from its inception, something that was very common in the early internet days. A site called the Museum of Hoaxes even managed to track down the site's registration address to some adult business in West Hollywood, California. Put simply, the creator of
is it real?
SeeMeRot.com created this hoax to
Or is
entice
it-
visits from around the world and then leverage those
So it's
visits
just
to
fake.
earn money from sponsors. As for the images featured on the site,
So this is just one sick ass individual. Oh shit! Wait, I didn't say that right. All right. This was just one sick person. All right. That just does this for a fucking sick joke? Nah, bro. There's something deep about this.
who
There's
these
something-
people
there's
are
more
is
deep
still
to this,
unknown.
bro. They're deep meaning,
but
bro.
they were likely taken by the creators
Hell
themselves,
nah.
possibly one of their friends.
Weird-ass
as
bulls,
I
bro.
wasn't able to find any record of them on the internet from before the site went up. SeeMeRot.com was ultimately shut down in 2013.
Good, bro.
It has since changed
Took
owners
way too
multiple
long.
times between different businesses, including a coffee company and now a fashion and lifestyle blog from a tiny remote town in Australia.
Why do you
That
wanna
said,
be
the
SeeMeRot,
identity
bro?
of the original creator remains a mystery to this day. They exhibited some odd behavior over the years, like continuing to update the site to make its, and by extension their coffin cam business, seem more legit,
That's fucked.
despite the internet figuring things out by 2004. At one point, they even made up a story about the police confiscating their
getting money
camera
off
equipment.
this?
It's
Like-
now been over
Like, were they getting money for each like click onto their website or something? Like, how did they even earn money from a? I don't know, bro. I always wondered that, bro. I don't know. I've really always
for
wondered
12 years since the
how
original
you
site
make
was
money
up.
if you're not selling anything on the website, bro. Just fucking. I don't know.
Mortis.com. In early 2010, a bored 4chan user was typing random URLs in their browser, hoping to stumble across something interesting.
Bro, I always hear 4chan. What is 4chan? I want to know what that is, bro. Someone let me know in the comments down below, man. I really want to know.
And while most URLs they tried were either
this
unavailable
like a
or
little
belonged to
Reddit
some
kinda?
business, one caught their attention almost immediately. Mortis.com. It was a completely black page with nothing but a generic login window in the
instantly
middle.
leaving now.
There
What
was
the
no
fuck? Why are
logo
you
or
even
description that could help
logging
visitors
in?
understand what the website was about. This mysterious landing page, combined with Mortis roughly translating to of death in Latin, piqued this user's curiosity. But without a
What? It piqued your curiosity? You wanted to keep searching? What the fuck is wrong with you? Honestly. Look yourself in the mirror and like ask, what the fuck is wrong with me? Because dude, why would you do that? The fact that you know what Mortis means, you're still gonna fucking go, oh fuck, hell yeah, let's do it, dude. Let's do it.
valid username and
Hell no,
password, there was
dude.
nothing he could do to investigate further. With no other option, he turned to 4chan and made a post about the site on its technology
What is
board.
this?
What he didn't realize at the time, however, was that this would spark a decades-long mystery that remains unsolved to this day.
Oh God, no.
Now, I should mention that while some
didn't mean to
still
bring
remain,
Jesus.
a significant portion of the discussion threads and forum posts regarding Mortis.com have since vanished from the internet,
Yeah,
including the
that's
wiki
bad.
page users created to keep track of all their findings.
Oh, fuck.
Any backups of Mortis.com have also been
Everything's
deleted
gone.
from the Internet Archive upon a request from the site's owner.
Why?
In other words, whoever this owner is, they do not want people digging into this. The Mortis.com site also
can't
went
even
down
find
sometime
nothing.
in 2011.
How does he know
Possibly
about it
because
then?
people started trying to brute force
How are
its
you gonna
login
talk about it if it's
requirements
not
by
even
using
up?
special software to try millions of username and password combinations, so the owner took it down.
Okay.
Now, most of these attempts led nowhere, but a few more tech-savvy individuals managed to extract valuable information from the site's code before it went offline. Most interesting among these was the fact that it was originally registered all the way back in November of 1997 by a man
Damn.
named Thomas Ling. This allowed users to discover 24 other websites under that same name. But instead of offering clarity, the discovery of these additional sites only made the mystery more convoluted. Take Cthulhu.net, for instance, which was named after the eldritch monster created by H.P. Lovecraft.
What the fuck is
It was
that?
just a black page with the text "Dead but Dreaming" written on it, and nothing
What is
else.
doing this bull?
Some users also claim to have seen a version of this site with a white chess piece on it, though I wasn't able to find any archives containing that detail. Either way, the whole thing was deeply puzzling and mysterious. That said, not all sites under Thomas's name were this empty. Exercio.com led to a landing page with 4 different options.
Oh, no, don't
Among
click it,
these,
don't do it, don't click it.
quilts.html was the most notable, as it led to a page about someone sharing pictures of their quilting projects. And while this doesn't look all that important to the Mortis.com mystery at first glance, in actuality, it holds the key to answering everything, or at least getting as close to the answer as we can.
What are
But
behind
we'll
the
get to that a bit
quilts?
later, because there's another key piece of this puzzle that we haven't discussed yet. You see, while people were snooping around the Mortis.com code and the emails relating to its
the
domain,
fuck is a
they
quilt?
discovered terabytes of encrypted data connected to this site,
That's a
which
lot.
is an unheard of amount of data for the late 90s.
I was about to say, that's
Some
a lot of
individual
fucking data.
files in this collection were as large as 39 gigabytes, which got people even more curious about what this site was hiding behind its login page.
Oh no.
Theories included everything from a private collection of
popcorns
illegal
ready.
explicit material to something connected to the 3-letter agencies like the CIA or FBI.
Oh fuck.
However, while people were trying to figure this out, Thomas allegedly contacted one of the investigators
bring
and
them
told him
up.
to stop trying to hack his site.
I'm saying
As
them,
the
bro. I
story
can't even
goes,
say that.
Thomas also claimed that these
They're watching.
files were nothing more than the photos and videos from his wedding, which would have been a reasonable explanation if these files were only a few gigabytes in size,
Okay.
not terabytes. A more reasonable theory, one that I personally believe in as well, is that Thomas was pirating movies and other media and using Mortis.com to host them online. This way, he could easily consume this media from any device with an internet
that could be
connection,
a good-
while
that-
also
that
being able
could
to
be a
share it with
good,
all his friends and family.
Observation.
This would also explain why he was so
Ooh.
reluctant about people finding out
New
the
word in the
truth,
chat.
as it could land him in some trouble with the authorities. Most importantly, this theory isn't completely baseless either. While looking through the data connected to Mortis.com, one 4chan user stumbled upon a 25 gigabyte file with a seemingly gibberish name of DriveCrazy3DBD25.part2.
I'm not liking
However,
this. I'm
looking
not
out the
liking
Drive
this.
Crazy 3D followed by movie brings up results relating to a 2011 film by Nicolas Cage called Drive Angry 3D.
Oh,
With that, we
shit.
can decipher the rest of the name as well, with BD likely being the short form of Blu-ray disc and 25 referring to its size in gigabytes.
Could
Put
he-
simply, Mortis.com was likely nothing more than a pirated media server.
Could he be
As
a
for its
fucking-
ominous name, it's possible he chose Mortis just because it
writer?
sounded cool. The only big questions that remain are, who is Thomas Ling, and why does he own so many empty or just plain strange websites? And the answer to these lies in the quilting page we found earlier.
I'm not looking at this.
Near the top of this page, there's a logo reading DFI. We can find this same logo in the FAQ section of another website registered under Thomas's name called dentalfillins.com.
Shit.
This was a job board of sorts for
getting
dentists that was likely
chills.
operated by Thomas back in the day. We know this because one of his currently operational websites is thomaslingdds.com, which is a website for a San Francisco dentist named Thomas W. Ling.
He's a
This
dentist.
quilting page also includes pictures of quilts created for Jeff and Josh for their first birthday. These names also align with 2 more domains Thomas registered in 2010 and 2014. Lastly, while looking through the many domains connected
this
to
fool just
Thomas,
buys
I discovered a
fucking domains and
subdomain
shit
of
for no reason.
Cthulhu.net containing a 7-day
websites
travel
and
journal.
just
These
has-
entries describe Thomas and his wife Karen's adventures across Asia, including Thailand, China, and Hong Kong.
Nice!
And as
This man
expected,
was
Thomas
nice.
also owns the KarenLing.com domain as well.
Is he Asian?
To summarize, Mortis.com was most probably a personal media server owned and operated by a San Francisco dentist named Thomas Ling. As for the many domains under his
that
name, he acquired them for his businesses, close family members, or for random projects like creating an online travel journal. These were also meant to be a completely personal thing. Unfortunately, someone accidentally stumbled across one of his sites and turned them into a decade-long internet rabbit hole that many are still trying to figure out to this day.
So my man was just making websites for himself, bro. Having fun. And someone came across this shit and thought it was like some scary shit. Damn. Well, we might never know though. It could be some scary shit. Could be some scary shit. Damn, bro. They digged up all that information, got up all of my man in that man's life for no reason, bro. For no reason, bro.
Slave Master. In the year 2000, a very disturbing chain message started spreading on AOL, which was a popular instant messenger at the time. If a guy by the name of Slave Master contacts you, do not answer. He has
What?
killed 56 women that he has talked to on the internet. Please send out to all the women on your buddy list. Also ask them to pass this on. He has been on Yahoo, AOL, Excite
Holy
so far.
fuck, no
This
way!
is no joke. And please send this to men too, just in case. Send to everyone you know. Now, chain messages like this were
Is this
fairly
real?
common back in the day. They were an
Bro, I'm actually
evolution
getting
of the
chills. I'm
physical
actually
chain
getting chills.
letters and often contained some pretty out there claims, like telling the reader to forward it to 20 people.
Bro, I always wanted to like imagine just like being on a computer back then. Being like a teenager back then, bro. Like fuck being a teenager now, bro. I want to be a teenager back then, bro. Like, you know what I mean, bro? I always think about that. And like watching Stranger Things, bro. Dead makes me love the 80s and shit. Like I love all old movies, bro. And like shit that's for the old movies, bro. I don't know. That sounded dumb. Yeah, that didn't sound right.
People or something bad would happen in 3 days. This one, however, felt a lot more real. And that's because it actually was.
Oh, got
Slave
it!
Master wasn't the name of a fictional horror character
It was
someone
him.
created to start an internet hoax. Instead, it was the username of John Edward Robinson,
Who
the
is
internet's
that?
first serial killer.
No way.
Someone who used early online chat rooms like AOL to find and entrap his targets. One of his first online victims was 45-year-old Sheila Faith.
No.
She met John in 1994 in an online chat room. And
Sheila.
after talking with her for a few weeks to gain her trust, John promised to pay for the surgery of her 15-year-old wheelchair-bound daughter, Debbie. All Sheila had to do was go to Kansas City where John lived, and he promised to take care of everything else. She agreed and moved to the city with Debbie in December of that year. Unfortunately, that was the last time anyone saw Sheila or Debbie alive. A few
How did he
years
get away
later,
with
John
this?
used the persona of Slave Master once again, this time with a 21-year-old Polish immigrant named Izabela Lewicka. Isabella met John in 1997 and began chatting with him almost daily. Over the next 2 years, John showered her with love and convinced her to move to
Insane,
Kansas
bro.
City
This
as
is
well.
This is probably happening right now, bro. There's probably someone using the internet to kill, bro, and we have no clue. Bro, I feel like in big cities, like especially like New York, LA, bro, Philly, there gotta be, maybe Dallas, bro. There's gotta be some serial killers there, bro. You know what I mean, though? People are, bro, especially New York and Los Angeles, bro. There's probably a couple, bro, just killing people, and we have no one has no clue. I always think about that. I always think about like big cities, maybe, bro, even probably around me, there could be a serial killer, and we no one knows, bro. No one has no fucking clue. You know, you think about that? But now it's so easy to get caught that you gotta be such a fucking genius to get away with shit. If you want to kill someone, get away with it like a serial killer, bro, it ain't like the 1980s, 1990s, bro. There's cameras every fucking inch of like a big city or everywhere, to be honest. Cameras everywhere. Now, I don't know. I feel like there gotta be some. There's probably a handful that we have no clue. We have zero clue.
Once she was there, he rented an apartment for her and even made her sign a marriage certificate, which he never turned in. But then Isabella suddenly disappeared. And when asked about her by her peers, John claimed that she was caught using drugs and was thus deported back to Poland.
Oh,
Tragically, this lie worked better than he might have expected, giving him the confidence to look for his third online victim just a few months later.
How did he
And the
kill
next person to
50
fall in this
people?
trap was 27-year-old Suzette Troughton. She was a nurse from Michigan with big dreams. John realized this early on in their conversation and posed as a wealthy businessman to entice Suzette. He offered her a
Nice. Wait, no,
$60,000 a year
okay.
job working as his non-existent father's primary caretaker. And to sweeten the deal further, also promised to take her with him on his business trips around the world. This was what finally convinced Suzette to leave her already established life in Michigan and move to Kansas City. But unlike his previous 3 victims who disappeared without a trace, Suzette gave John's name and number to her mother before leaving. Shortly after leaving for Kansas City, her mother also started receiving several typed letters, supposedly from Suzette, reassuring her of her safety. However, her mother found these letters incredibly suspicious, as Suzette had never sent a typed letter before.
Oh,
They were also
shit.
free of any grammatical or spelling mistakes, which didn't match Suzette's writing style. So
What, that
she
bitch was
called
retarded?
John, hoping to speak with her daughter.
Did she say
Instead,
that
she
hoe
was
was
met with
retarded?
hostility from John, who accused Suzette of stealing his money and running away. But Suzette's mother knew her daughter would never do something like this. So she called the police on March 1st, 2000, kickstarting an investigation into
Is this
John's
where he
life.
gets caught?
The police in Kansas City, however, were already quite suspicious of him. You see, John was a lifelong con artist who'd been behind bars several times for embezzlement, fraud, forgery, and other similar charges.
Oh, fuck.
I would say it's
No!
like having another producer in the room that knows exactly what your song needs. This is co-producer. The fastest way to
Most importantly, his name had already come up in multiple
Whoa,
missing women
alright,
cases.
chill, Bubbles.
Each time he escaped consequences due to insufficient evidence. This time, investigators held back and quietly kept John under surveillance. And it wasn't long before their patience paid off. One of his
Wow.
would-be victims called the police on him. This gave the authorities a warrant to put John under arrest and search his property for evidence.
Okay.
However, what this search uncovered was far more horrific than anyone could have imagined.
Why?
As it turned out, Sheila Faith was far from his first victim. She was just the first one he lured through the internet. He'd
No!
already lured and killed 4 more women before Sheila, dating as
So
far
where
back
is
as
this 50 coming
1984, including 19-year-old Paula Godfrey, 27-year-old Catherine Clampett, and 49-year-old Beverly Bonner. However, his worst crime was against 19-year-old Lisa Stasi.
that's a
John
bad-
approached Lisa and her 4-month-old daughter after his brother expressed his desire to adopt a
I'm not even
child.
trying to be
He
disrespectful.
lured Lisa with promises of a stable life, only to
Damn, I
end
wish
her
I was
life
back
in
then,
a
yo.
hotel
I
room.
would've saved you
He
guys.
then
I would've
gave
saved you,
Lisa's
baby girl.
4-month-old daughter to his brother, claiming that she was an orphan, and even pocketed $5,500 from
I don't
them
fuck with
in
those
legal
glasses, bro. Why was
fees.
everyone rocking
After his
them drawings,
arrest,
bro?
authorities searched his
Was that the
property with
trend? Was that the
cadaver
wave?
dogs and discovered
I'm not rap-
multiple
I'm not
oil
like-
drums filled with the rotting remains of his victims. He was convicted in January 2003 and received 5
Looks
life
weird, too.
sentences without the possibility of parole,
So where's the
along with a
50
death
come from?
sentence for his crimes. Markovian parallax denigrate.
What is that? That's
On
a-
March
that's a lot,
11,
that's a lot.
2004, American journalist and U.S. Congress worker Suzanne Lindauer was arrested by the FBI on suspicion of being a spy for Iraq. While doing some research on her, a Wikipedia user named Lazarus666 found a connection
we don't
between
like
her
that.
and a string of strange Usenet posts from 8 years earlier. For some context, Usenet was the precursor to modern internet forums. Discussions on Usenet were divided into several sections called the news groups, similar to subreddits on Reddit. Now, spam on Usenet wasn't exactly rare. Shady companies often made promotional posts in an attempt to market their products for cheap. However, on August 5,
Oh, where's
1996,
this
several
getting at?
groups were flooded with tens of thousands of posts that looked like regular spam at first,
Oh,
but a
shit.
closer look revealed their
So if
true
you
intention,
press on it, you
or
got your
lack
IP?
thereof. Put simply, these posts were mostly complete gibberish,
Bro.
with seemingly random
Y'all ever been playing fucking Call of Duty, 2K, any type of game? Bro, you're talking shit, and bro, this motherfucker joins the party, bro, and gets your IP or something? Yeah, bro. Middle school, bro, I had to learn how to do that shit, because I used to talk hella shit on Call of Duty and 2K, bro. And that, bro, one time, bro, I'm at my grandma's crib. I was living with my grandparents, bro. It's probably like 6th, 7th grade. I didn't mean to say that. I honestly, I didn't mean to. But, bro, It's like 6th grade, bro. I'm playing 2K. I'm talking mad shit. Bro, he invites me to a party. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna join. I'm gonna talk more shit. I joined. He just started laughing. I said, bro, what the fuck's funny, bro? Dude, start saying my fucking grandma's address. I was like, oh my god. He said, yep, your internet's fried, buddy. Dude, instantly, my whole family's, they were watching TV and shit. Bro, TV went off. Bro, lights went off. Bro, my shit was fried. He was high-tech fucking hacker, bro. He did something to my shit. Bro, I didn't say one word to my grandparents or nothing, bro. They had to reboot that shit. I think they had to call someone out to come the next day. Because, bro, he fried our shit. And I was sitting there like, oh my fucking God, it's all my fault. Dude, this is all my fucking fault. And, bro, I was tweaking. It was bad. That's Storytime 101.
Strings of words formed into paragraphs. Now, when Lazarus was researching Susan Lindauer, he came across one of the few surviving posts from that day and noticed that it was made by a Susan Lindauer as well. Lazarus speculated that these might have something to do with Susan sending encoded messages back to Iraq.
Oh, shit.
Looking back, however, this theory makes little to no sense. That's mainly because in over 2 decades, no one has been able to identify any patterns in the posts that might suggest they're encoded. More importantly, if Susan wanted to broadcast anonymous messages, why would she use an email with her own name on it? But regardless of how feasible Lazarus's theory was, it ended up generating a ton of interest in the topic. These strange Usenet posts were later given the name Markovian Parallax Denigrate based on the subject line of the sole surviving post.
Okay.
It also became known as one of the first great mysteries of the internet, with people from around the world trying to figure out what these posts meant. Unfortunately, no one has been able to find a concrete answer ever since. The theory linking them with Susan Lindauer was eventually dropped by internet sleuths as they couldn't find anything connecting the two. It was also discovered that the email address actually belonged to a student of the same name from the University of Wisconsin. However, this also went nowhere as the email address turned out to be spoofed from the start. People then looked into the mystery's title, Markovian Parallax Denigrate, and assumed that it might have something to do with the Markovian process, which is the math used by phone keyboards to predict the next word in a sentence, and even serves as the foundation for modern text-based AI services like ChatGPT. So maybe someone was just experimenting with a new Markovian process-based bot and decided to unleash it on the Usenet. Unfortunately, this theory doesn't have much ground to stand on either. The thing is, this mystery only got the Markovian name because that was the subject of the most popular surviving post. This led many to falsely believe that this was the subject for all the thousands of similar posts made that day. But that can't be further from the truth. The word Markovian appeared on the subjects of only 2 posts out of thousands. Even if we assume these posts were generated by a Markovian bot, the theory still doesn't hold up, since the content of these posts was pure gibberish. Despite the fact that Markovian text generators from years before this incident were already capable of producing coherent sentences with relative ease. So, what's the actual explanation here? What was the true meaning behind these thousands of seemingly nonsensical posts? Well, like many other mysteries on the internet, the most likely answer is also the simplest one.
Bro, I try to just read that in my head, and I couldn't understand what a fucking single thing. What the fuck was that even saying?
This spam of thousands of posts was just that, spam. Something that becomes abundantly clear when you consider that, with a single exception, the only news groups targeted were related to Christianity.
What's the comment saying?
In other words, there's a strong chance this was simply an attempt by an unknown user to troll Christian news groups. As for why the spam looked so jumbled, it was likely an attempt to bypass Usenet's spam filters, which typically flagged and deleted repeated messages. That said, this is still just an educated guess, and the rabbit hole can get much deeper the more you look into this. Maybe it did originate as something far more exotic, like a text version of spy number stations, or an attempt to test the security of Usenet by a foreign entity. But unless the original developer comes forward with a confession, the spam theory is the best we have to explain the rabbit hole that is Markovian Parallax Denigrate.
Hey, bedtime soon.
Never really. The comments. I was just reading the comments for I got lost in the comments. You ever get lost in the comments? I'm always lost in the comments. If you guys want to see more videos like this, let me know in the comments down below. I'm going to see you on the next one. So woo!